You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Haunted Histories with your host Penny G. Morgan, right here on Parasearch Radio.
Hello and a very happy Halloween to all of you, whether you're choosing to trick or to treat tonight. I hope you're having fun and thank you for joining us on tonight's very special and a little bit different Haunted Histories. So we're going live tonight, but unfortunately I won't be able to chat to you much through the chat room because we're on a bit of a tight schedule, because my guest tonight is going to be doing a Facebook Live at 9 o'clock, and I'll introduce him in a second. I'm sure you'll never have heard of him because he's very, very shy and retiring, and I'm surprised I can't hear him giggling in my ear as I said that. But yes, so I'll introduce my guest in a second, but just a quickie, what's been up to? Who's been out investigating? Who's been out seeing places? Well, I did a history walk last week called Chilling Tales of Chelmsford, with a local sort of historian and paranormal enthusiast. It was very interesting, and we were in the cathedral graveyard and managed to make one of my friends jump when someone accidentally touched her on the back. The screams were quite funny, I must admit. And then this coming weekend I am very excited because I'm going out ghost hunting, and I'm going to the village in Mansfield with the Hauntings crew, which might give you a guess as to who my guest is tonight. Well, like I say, he's very shy. He's not into publicising himself at all, and you'll never see him on camera, ever see him on camera. And it could be said, he is mad, bad and dangerous to know, Mr. Lee Roberts.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, you all right? Yes, I'm good, thank you. You?
I'm all right, thank you. And I mentioned the village. I'm coming to see the village on Friday. But you're there now?
Yes, we're here now, just setting up for our Halloween Live that we're going to be doing in about an hour's time.
Yeah, cool. And how can people watch that live if they've not watched one of the lives before, Lee?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook. We're going to be going live on Facebook from 9 o'clock. So as soon as I've finished here, we're going live.
Is that on the
9
Hauntings
o'clock
page?
to 12:30, and it's on the Hauntings page. So facebook.com/The Hauntings TV. Or you can just type in The Hauntings. You'll find us as a picture of Ryan and Pete, and obviously myself.
Of course.
Up front and centre. So you'll see us on there. And yeah, from 9 o'clock, just whenever we've finished here, jump on the Hauntings page and join in. You can comment, interact. And we are going to be phoning a few people up as well, just to kind of bring them on the live and see what people are up to on Halloween, and maybe they can join in on some seances with us, or an experiment with us,
Nice.
and see what happens. Yeah.
Awesome.
So you'll be here on Friday to do it yourself.
I am, yes.
So it is buzzing at the minute here at the village.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
So you'll have a good time.
Well, not only am I looking forward to meeting you guys, Lee, on Friday, seeing as we've been talking for quite a while, but I am actually really looking forward to exploring the village, as I've heard so much about it. And, but it'll be interesting to watch in an hour, well, just under an hour or so, what starts to happen there. But you've been going live all night so far, haven't you? Didn't your evening start at about 6 o'clock?
Yeah. So I did a radio show for a local radio channel, Radio Mansfield 103.2, with the lovely Katie Trinder, just talking about me, basically.
Well, that must have been hard for you, Robert.
It was hard work. It was hard work. But no, we was just talking about. I've known Katie since I was around 18 years old. She was a local DJ. I was a lifeguard at the local ladies' centre, and she used to come and do the Friday night parties there. So we've known each other for many, many years, and it was just nice to go on there and just chat and catch up, and so that's good. So we did that at 6 o'clock. We've been doing lots of lives since then, kind of from 7 o'clock, just to kind of get people in the mood, letting know what's happening at the village. We've had a little walk around earlier on just to show people where we're going to be going, and then obviously Pete and Ryan are off doing their own little thing, getting up to mischief at the minute.
So you've left them unsupervised?
Unsupervised, yeah, so God knows what they're up to. And I've come in and hid myself in a little corner of the village to come and talk to you.
So if I hear any squeals or screams while we're talking, somebody's spooked you?
Yeah. Oh, that would be Ryan.
Screaming, yeah, he's seen a spider. That's what it'll be. He's seen a spider.
Ryan.
Knowing his love of spiders.
Yeah, he hates spiders.
Yeah,
he hates spiders. Pete hates snakes.
Really?
And I hate... I hate crows, ravens. Don't like them.
I hate birds. Full stop.
Yeah,
anything
that's me.
That flaps.
I don't like birds. Yeah, don't like birds.
No, I'm not too good with bats either if they move.
No, so I think out of all of them, I've got the rough end because Pete don't like snakes. Not very often you see a snake. You know, come on, get off it. You don't really see a snake anywhere. Yeah. Ryan with spiders, yeah, now and again you might see a spider. You know, maybe once a week.
Yeah,
But birds,
they're everywhere.
Just look outside.
Exactly. I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Lee.
Yeah, you see.
I'm with you.
So if you hear any screaming, it's going to be one of them too.
See, I'm not a fan of spiders. I'm not one of those people who can pick them up in my hand, but I can quite easily trap them in a cup and put them outside. That doesn't bother me. Snakes,
I've kind of got braver of a. Yeah. Snakes I'll be okay with.
I like
spiders.
Snakes.
I've got better with spiders. I've got older. I think that's just with having kids.
You have to be the brave spider hunter.
I have to be the brave. I've got to be the brave dad. So I've kind of got braver with them as I've got older. But birds, no chance. No way.
No, I can tell you this: if a bird flew in the house, I would be screaming and hiding. And probably phoning 999 if I'm completely honest, because I blooming hate the things. I have been brave. I've gone into an aviary before, but not actually into where the birds were flying loose. I've gone to where the cage bit was. That's about as close as I can get. Although I have held a hawk on my arm, but that was quite beautiful, and it wasn't sort of flappy. But crows and ravens are just evil.
Oh no, they'll peck your eyes out.
They don't do.
Horrible.
Yeah, well, they are carrion,
Horrible.
so yeah, they would. Oh no.
Yeah. Ooh.
No. I'll tell you one day why I'm scared of birds, and you'll probably understand it. But no, it's a standing joke that I don't like birds. But no, when they used to still have the pigeons at Trafalgar Square, and my cousin wanted me to walk through them, and I was like, seriously, I can't do it. And she goes, look, they're fine. They fly out the way. And I went, exactly. And she thought it was funny when she made one flap in front of me that I screamed and ran away. Not a lot scares me. That? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm there. That's me as well.
But we're not talking about the village tonight, are we?
No.
But I'm going to be letting you go at sort of 5 to 9, so you can make sure that the boys haven't destroyed the place and that you're all ready to go live. We're talking about somewhere else that you'll actually be investigating, I think, on Saturday, aren't you? Saturday night.
Saturday. Yeah, we're there Saturday. Yeah.
Newstead Abbey.
Yes. Beautiful place. Lovely place.
Well, it was interesting when we decided to talk about this because, and I'm going to use the H word now, the history.
Oh, dear.
I know. You don't have to remember this. I'm not testing you. But when I was telling our lovely Kerry Greenaway that Newstead Abbey is where we're talking about this week, she was like, oh, I went there before I started having an interest in the paranormal, and she goes, and I had some really weird experiences. And she said one of them, she said she was in a bedroom that's on the first floor that's meant to have a monk scene in it.
Yes.
I don't know if you know the room she's talking about. And
I know that one well.
Okay, and she said as soon as she went in it, she felt really sick and dizzy and disorientated, but the minute she came out, she was fine.
Yeah.
So if you know that room, maybe we can talk about that one. She also said there's a long gallery that there's meant to be a woman seen in, and she heard someone murmur behind her, "It's not here."
Right. Yeah. I know the gallery, the long gallery, yeah.
Okay, and the other place she said, she was out in the grounds, and her mum heard it as well, like, what do they call it, Gregorian-type chanting and singing.
Yes.
And they asked them if they had some kind of history thing going on, and they went, no, there's nobody out there, but they both heard this kind of Gregorian, monk-like chanting out in the grounds.
Yeah, that's been heard quite a bit. Yeah, that's a regular occurrence.
Interesting. Well, even though it's called an abbey, it's called the Abbey. It was actually a priory, which is kind of like an abbey's poorer cousin, so to speak. And it goes back to Henry II in around 1170. He built it as penance for the murder of Thomas Becket. Did you know that?
But Penny,
it's history.
Talking
okay.
history to me, saying, did I know that?
I thought you might have picked it up on your travels.
Come on.
Thomas Becket was the Archbishop of Canterbury, who got into a row with Henry II, and basically some of Henry II's noblemen hacked him to death in Canterbury, outside Canterbury Cathedral. So it's all a bit gory. And if you ever go to Canterbury, it's one of the renowned stories of Canterbury. That's where Thomas Becket was killed. In fact, John Hippersley, who does the Canterbury tours, he tells it brilliantly and gets like members of the public involved. It's very, very funny. But although hacking someone to death isn't really funny, but the way he does it makes it
just about to say, but yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Dark sense of humour and all that. And it became, obviously, during the Reformation period, during Henry VIII, it was gifted to the Byrons. Sir John Byron of Colwick, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, on the 26th of May 1540, and he started converting it into a house. Did you know any of that?
It vaguely kind of jumps out of my little history box at the back of my head.
That little tiny thing that sort of...
That little one that I store things in that just,
mine's the equivalent. Mine has football knowledge in. So your interest in history is the same as my interest in football.
Your football, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, cool.
So that's when the Byrons first got it, and he was the first Baron. Now, I introduced you as mad, bad and dangerous to know. And there was a reason I said that. I wasn't actually being cheeky. Well, I was, but because one of the most famous residents of Newstead Abbey was the famous poet, Lord George Byron.
Lord Byron. Yeah.
Lord Byron, the 6th Baron. And he was actually coined by one of his many, many lovers, one Lady Caroline Lamb, that he was mad, bad and dangerous to know. So there's my link, you see.
There you go. How clever.
Yes. Not that I'm sure you've had loads and loads and loads of lovers and they're the same as Lord Byron, because I'm sure your wife would have something to say about that.
Yeah,
But yes, mad, bad and dangerous to know. So there you go. There's your link.
And,
see, history's cool.
And it's kind of to do with Lord Byron, the poet, of why my interest in the paranormal kicked off. He's got he's kind of the reason for it.
Go on,
in a strange
tell me
way,
more.
in a strange link, which links nicely into Newstead Abbey as well. So I live literally 10-15 minutes away from Newstead Abbey.
Okay.
I'm not far away from Newstead Abbey at all. And when I was six years old, we went on a school trip to Newstead Abbey, and they took us around the Abbey. And it's got quite a funny story to it that kind of relates to my mentality now. As we was going around, there was a tour guide there telling us all the history about Lord Byron and the Abbey and everything and I was wandering around in my own world thinking, wow, this place has got to have some ghosts in it. This has got to be cool. Now, I'd never really thought about ghost hunting or anything until this point, and walked in. And the reason behind it is we walk in, as you walk in the first entrance, at the back of the shop is a tomb. And the first thing he said was, as we walked in, well, welcome to Newstead Abbey, home of Lord Byron, the poet. and just at the back of here, just where these ladies are stood, is a tomb. Just kind of flippantly, just a comment that he didn't really probably mean to say. And 6-year-old me was like, wow, there's a dead body in there. There's got to be kind of some ghosts here. So he took us round, showing us all these different poems and talking to us about Ghost Wayne the dog, that he was Lord Byron's dog that was there. And he took us up to the bedroom on the first floor, where this monk's supposedly seen. And he took us all in there, and we all sat we all stood in the room, and he was telling us about the story of the White Lady, and how this girl who was a maid, a servant of Lord Byron, used to look out of the window over the courtyard, and she was besotted with Lord Byron.
We're talking the poet Lord Byron here.
Yes, the poet Lord Byron, yeah. So she was besotted with him. And he was telling us all this story. And as he was telling us this story, my friend, who was stood next to me, collapsed. Now imagine, he was 6 years old, and there was a group, there was about 20 of us in this room. He collapsed, just passed out on the floor. And they got him up, got him a drink of water, and got him all sorted. And he said he felt all dizzy and sick in this room, and felt like a cloak was going over his shoulders and being dragged into the floor, and then he just collapsed. Now this is the same room that he was just talking about, that Kerry was talking about, the bedroom. And then we tried to get out, and the door was locked, and we couldn't get out, and you could see the panic on the teacher and this tour guide's face, that he had these 20 kids in this room, and you could hear them saying, this never happens, this door doesn't lock. And we was locked in there for about 20 minutes, and then eventually we got let out, and we carried on the tour as if nothing happened, got back on the bus, went back to school, and the teacher said, right, here's your workbook, so I want you to write a picture of what you've seen today, maybe a poem, blah blah blah. I filled the whole workbook with ghost stories, ghost pictures, little snippets of ghosts that were seen, the monk, the White Lady, all sorts of different things. And from that point onwards, that is where my love and passion for the paranormal came from. So it was all down to Newstead Abbey and this tour of Newstead Abbey, and probably my lack of interest in history, that I was thinking, what else can I be doing in this place while these guys are listening about history? I know, ghosts.
I don't know why we're friends sometimes, Lee. You deride history so much.
But yeah, so it's strange now. So I'm sat here now, a 42-year-old, speaking about, doing a radio show about the place that kicked it all off, and that I work at on a regular basis now, and work in that same room, do vigils in that same room. That when I was 6, that's where it kind of all started.
Firstly, was your little friend okay? Who passed out?
He was fine.
He was fine.
He was
okay,
fine.
That's all right,
I still speak to him today. In fact, I'm running the London Marathon with him next year.
Oh, he's one of the ones you're running that with, is he?
Yeah. So we've not seen each other for years and years. He moved to Ireland about 3 years ago, and we kind of got speaking. It's strange. I applied for London Marathon, and he has at the same time, and we both got in this time for the first time, and we decided, right, we're going to meet up and run it. And obviously we were friends when we was 5, 6, all the way through school, and then we kind of lost contact a little bit. So yeah, spooky how things just kind of come full circle in life.
Aren't they? Yeah. So that particular
but he was fine.
I'm glad he was okay. That particular room, you say you still do investigation. What have you had happen over the last sort of, what would it be, 36 years?
Well,
I was trying my maths. I was trying to work out in my head. Then, yeah.
So the obviously I didn't go straight in there as a ghost hunter, being 6 years old. But even when I started ghost hunting, the first place I was always thought of, with it being local to me, is right, I need to get in Newstead Abbey. I need to get in there and do some ghost hunts. And they was very, very protective, as you can imagine, over Newstead Abbey. Didn't want anything going on there. It wasn't until I kind of established a bit of a a reputation in doing events with the council that owns Newstead Abbey.
Right, it's council owned, it's not National Trust or English Heritage
No,
or anything.
it's council that own the property. So it wasn't until quite a few years' time that I actually got in there. So it was 2009 that I actually first did an event there. I'd been running events at Woolerton Hall, which is run by the same people, since 2006. But because of the popularity and the way it was going, they said, well, just in one meeting, just out of the blue, the manager there at Woolerton said, would you like to go to Newstead and do a ghost hunt? And I was like, wow, yes, please. So we arranged a meeting and off we went. So it was 2009, so it'll be our 10th anniversary at Newstead next year. But that room alone is my favourite still. We've had people that have been in there. I mean, it's only kind of a box room. It's only kind of 12 foot by 12 foot. In this room. It's not very big, but people have seen monks in there. People have seen shadowy figures in there. People still have that same sensation, having a cloak put over the shoulder and feeling sick and collapsing in there. Now, I'm not a massive fan of things like table tipping, but it's something that we do on events because guests do like it.
Guests like it, yeah.
I try and nowadays I kind of step back and let people just get on with it. So the finger of blame doesn't always go on the organiser, which is natural to do. But on this one occasion, this table started moving. And normally I'm thinking, there's got to be somebody moving this table. Yeah. And it started to tip. And naturally what happens, it will tip and then all of a sudden it will just slip from under and it will fall on the floor. And on this one occasion, it slipped. But as it slipped, the back legs flung up in the air and then it started moving upwards. And it flew straight up into the roof, which it's quite a high roof, and it hit the roof, and it was only a little wooden table, smashed and landed on the floor, and we all went. You can imagine we had 6-7 guests in there, plus 2 team members. I had tears in my eyes because I was that excited at what just happened.
How many shits and bloody hells and all that sort of thing did you hear?
Loads, but mainly from me. but because I wasn't expecting it, and none of the guests was expecting it, and it was just bonkers. We've tried to recreate that quite a few times. It's just not. There's no way anybody could do that. You couldn't do that without seeing somebody obviously doing it. But it was just crazy to get that to fly straight up. And smash. The energy there was just immense.
So have you done any sort of more scientific experiments in there to see if there's any reason why people would feel sick in there? So say if there's an unusually high baseline EMF reading, or do you get what I'm saying?
So there's nothing in there. There's no it is quite cold in there. Normally people kind of feel sick and things when it's a bit warmer, but there is no change in temperature. It's always the same, and it's always Lord Byron, the poet. His bedroom is right next door to this room. So this room that we're in is just an empty bare shell of a room, and it's where the maid would have been quartered, and there is no difference from where you walk up onto that level, onto that floor. That it is all the same. So there's no reason for that room to be any different. And we've taken temperature readings. We've taken kind of humidity readings. We've taken EMF readings. Done all the normal baseline tests, and it is always the same. Naturally the same. Obviously, it gets warmer in the summer, colder in the winter. It's no different to anywhere else in the Abbey. Nowhere else. And also, what's strange is there is a certain point. There's an unused fireplace in there, and without mentioning it to guests when they walk in there, it's always the people that is stood as I'm looking at the fireplace just to the right of the fireplace that get affected. I can guarantee I can go in there, and if someone stands in this spot, I'll guarantee that they will feel sick during the night while we're doing that experiment, without me having to mention it or kind of preempt them to kind of have that suggestion in the mind. I don't have to say anything. I know I walk in there, if someone stands there, right, we're going to get someone feeling sick tonight. And
so do we know what that room was when it was still a priory, before it got converted into a house?
it was so what I've been told by the tour guides there, that was a room where they used to take the monks up when they was on their last, very, very old, and they're obviously dying.
Yeah.
They used to take them up there for their last few days. The reason being, the window there, if you open the window, it is directly opposite the church, which is on the grounds. So they felt that there was still part of the community and still part of that. They could hear the services going on. But B, it's the highest point in Newstead Abbey. So they felt apparently that there was closer to God. So that's why they took them up there. And that's where they went up there to pass away and spent their last final moments. So there would be many people and monks and people that was in there that had passed away.
Well, in 400 years of it being a priory, then
yeah, you can imagine.
The cloak feeling could be like the death shroud being put on them. But
we try. I always try not to. Obviously, the listeners that are listening now will obviously know that. So if you come on an event, they will know that. But I don't mention this until after the vigils. So like, for instance, I went on a ghost hunt last night to a location, and straight away, without them knowing me, obviously if they knew me, they would know this answer. But she said to me, "Have you looked up the history of this place?"
Sorry.
And I kind of looked at her blankly, like, hello. But I don't, knowing, obviously you know me. I don't look up history on places, and I specifically tell my team not to look up history on places, because I prefer to go in there blind and pick up whatever we pick up on, and then go and look for a reason for it. So why is this happening? Is there anything in the past that relates to why it's happening, rather than doing it beforehand and then having that suggestion and going in there kind of looking for what we've just found out, rather than going in there with an open book. You see,
I know we've talked about this on many an occasion, but I mean, firstly, for me, it's almost impossible to go into a place without having some kind of idea, just from doing the show and having the interest that I've got. But I'm actually, believe it or not, quite good at keeping my gob shut when people are experiencing stuff. And I know that's really shocking, okay? I know
that is strange.
You'll see it on Friday. You will see it on Friday.
That's nearly as odd as saying that I'm... for me, making the statement is, you do know I don't really like history. You go, really?
No, I can actually keep my gob shut as people are having experiences. But and then I will throw the odd thing in, which doesn't give the game away, but might act as a trigger for something. So I've used this example before when there was a fort that I knew that people from America had landed there, travelled and landed at this fort. This fort was the dock for them. And they had this Ouija board going, and this girl, they had a female spirit, or so it had told them, and they said, "Where are you from?" I can't remember what they said. "Tell us where you're from," and it kept going to A and Z. A Z, and they're freaking out, going, "Oh my God, it's a demon! We're gonna have to cleanse the board. Everyone, come off it!" And I'm just sitting there. I'm not on the board. I was watching, a bit like you said with the table tipping. Sometimes I do just stand back and watch people do these things. And I said, "Just ask if they're from America. Are you from America?" "Yes." "Okay." Ask them if AZ stands for Arizona. "Does AZ stand for Arizona?" "Yes." So the fact that I kind of knew a bit of the history,
helped.
It helped, and I wasn't influencing the board because I'm not even touching it. So whereas if I was a sort of gobby about it, I would have started telling everyone, "Well, actually, it's because this place was American, blah, blah." Now, a few people afterwards came up to me and said, "What made you say that?" And I said, "If you read up on the history, you'll understand why I said that." So I'm not going to give... but I don't ever look up the histories of hauntings when I go somewhere to investigate. I might look up who would have been lived there, what sort of things they did, but that's more so I can trigger my questions very specific. But everyone's different. That's the great thing about this. Everyone has a slightly different... But no, I'm actually quite good at keeping my gob shut when people are experiencing stuff. Even if I know what they're experiencing, can't possibly be how they're interpreting it. Because of what I know about I keep my mouth shut.
Cool.
I know, it's a shocker, isn't it?
We will find out on Friday when you come ghost hunting with me. We'll find out.
I won't to you,
every
though,
time
if
you
it's
try-
just
every-
you and me. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, every time we try and speak, I go and go, up, Paddy. You said.
And if I have my
Well,
phone on and
exactly.
I'm doing a Facebook Live myself and you start to push in front of me, I'll be like, no, you don't
Yeah.
like publicity, remember?
Yeah, that's right. No, I'll be there. Don't worry. If you're doing a Facebook Live, I am on it.
I know, you sniff out cameras, don't you?
Yeah,
If you
that's
see it,
right.
you can smell some, even like people you don't even know taking selfies, you're there. You're,
Yeah.
photobombing them.
I'm like the butler on Mr. Deeds, where suddenly just pop up, sneaky.
So this room, we're not going to mention which room it is, but it's on the first floor. But we don't.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you. You said it's next to what was Byron's bedroom, and
Yes.
to be fair, if
Yeah.
a poor female maid was in there, she probably wasn't left alone much if she was living. She was in the bedroom next door to Lord Byron.
Exactly.
But the other thing, we mentioned the Long Gallery,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
said that you've experienced stuff there as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Long Gallery is connected to the library, and which is then connected to the Grand Hall. So we always run experiments in the Grand Hall because it'd be rude not to. It's a great big hall, really kind of grand.
And it's grand,
a lot
yeah.
of people, yeah. So we kind of start there at the Grand Hall, and then we work our way into the library. But the amount of people that have kind of said we need to go out to the gallery, we need to go out into the corridor because we can feel there's something in there. Even people that aren't that sensitive have gone, we really do need to go out there. I've just got this overwhelming feeling to go out there. But people have seen, this strange lady walking around. We've even had guests, not even our guests, people that just go on a regular basis to Newstead Abbey that have gone back to the shop, to the customer service area, and said, "Oh, that lady that's up there in fancy dress is amazing. She's really, really good." And they've gone, "Well, we have got nobody up there. We've got nobody up there in
Don't you
period
love it when
costume
you hear
or
those
anything."
stories? I love it when I hear those stories.
Yeah, and they've gone like, "Wow!" So they've gone back and had a look, and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
It's just this strange feeling to it. And then that corridor, that gallery, then leads into the Webb House, and the Webb House was the last part of the abbey that was lived in by the Webb family. So it's kind of all connected.
And the Webb family are the ones who followed the Byrons.
Yes. So they followed the Byron, the last Byrons that was there. The Webb spheres. Yeah, see, I do know a little bit of history.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed.
The Webb family then moved in with 4 children, and the children that kind of one went crazy, one committed suicide, and the other 2 kind of just were fairly normal, but there was a caretaker on site that committed suicide in that part of the building. There was a local vicar that had access to that part of the building that also hung himself in there. So it's an area, although it was fairly recent, and the last part that was lived in, that has kind of seen a lot of trauma over the years, just as much as the other part. Yeah.
That's awful. Because it does. I mean, when you, all right, I'm going to talk history a bit now. All right, you've got to listen though, because I might ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, so if you look at the Byrons as a family, they were as a whole, sort of from 1540 Sir John Byron, all the way down to George Byron, the poet. They were a very strange family. They were.
Yeah.
They all had, I would say, an insanity gene passing down through them, and that's putting it politely. I mean, you had, I think it was his uncle was known as Wicked William. He killed his cousin and neighbour William Chadworth in a duel in London and got away with it. I can't remember the defence he used, but he used some defence to get away with it, and they were arguing over drinks or something, and he's supposed to have mounted the sword that he killed Chadworth with at the Abbey.
Right.
His brother, who was Byron's dad, was called Mad Jack, and he was actually a naval officer who cut his own throat.
Why would you do that? Yeah,
that's not easy.
There is other ways.
There are other ways,
No,
but it's
but
not an easy way
there are
to do
other
it.
easier ways. If that's what you want to do, there's easier ways.
But the fact he was known as Mad Jack.
Yeah.
And then Byron himself, his ex-wife, who he was only married to for a year, said that he was insane and that she wanted he wouldn't have anything to do with his only, I say, legal child, who anyone who's into computing history may have heard of. It was his daughter was Ada Lovelace, who was the first ever. It was recognised as being the first ever computer programmer.
Yeah.
And it was actually because of how nuts her mum felt that her father and ex-husband was, that she positively encouraged Ada to look into science and all of that kind of thing to try and stop that insanity gene manifesting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately it didn't, because Ada towards the end was very into quite a lot of the shall we say anarchic habits that her father had.
Yes.
But even still, I mean, she was a genius, same as her dad. I mean, at the end of the day, Lord Byron was a poetical, whether you like poetry or not, he was a genius. And
that's right.
He was a bit unusual as well, because he was actually a massive animal lover. I don't know if you've experienced any animal ghosts.
Yeah, well, there is a famous one, Bo Swain, who was.
That's
was
what I was coming to. His Newfoundland dog. Yeah. Yeah.
I was always told the story years ago when I was growing up that Bo Swain was seen on the roof. So Lord Byron used, and I've even found the hatch of where Bo Swain would have run through. It's up from the Webb House. You go up to the old nursery in there, and you go in a cupboard. And there is a little hatch, and you open the hatch, and it leads out onto the roof, and that's where Bo Swain would have been let out onto the roof. And he is seen on the roof from time to time. People have been driving by or turned up on a bus tour and said, "Oh, we've just seen a dog on the roof. What is the doing a dog?"
A big old Newfoundland.
And it was and the description that they gave is this dog, and so that's been seen quite regular, and we have got a picture. It's on the Haunted Events UK Facebook page, right back from 2009. I think it was one of our first ever events. And I always tell this story when we're on events, and I always use it as an example of, if you take a picture when you're on an event, always look back at it, always keep looking back, because things may appear. You know, not straight away, but things may appear. And it was this one lady, and she took a selfie in the Grand Hall.
Yeah.
As she's going around doing the tour with us, and it wasn't until about a year later she messaged me and she said, "Just have a look at this picture and have a look in the background. I've not ever noticed it before." And there's this dog that was exactly the same description as Bo Swain, and it sat in the corner of the Great Hall. Now, so I went back and spoke to the staff there, and there was certainly nothing there that should have resembled this dog. There was obviously no dogs allowed in Newstead Abbey these days. So where's this dog come from? And so we got that on camera, and I think that's still on our Facebook page somewhere.
Isn't there a statue of Bo Swain though in the grounds?
There's a statue of Bo Swain in the grounds, and there's also like a memorial monument there. And he was supposed to be buried there. However, his bones went missing. And nobody knows to this day where his bones went, but his bones was buried just at the back of Newstead Abbey. Right. And there's a big monument there, there's steps leading up to it, and there's this big thing there. That's where he was supposed to be buried, but his bones aren't there. He went missing. So, that was kind of one of the mysteries of Newstead Abbey. Nobody knows where these bones disappeared to. But just at the side of there is another kind of bit of a woodland, a bit of a garden. Some people call it the Monk's Wood, but it's also the pet cemetery. It's where the other pets were buried in this Monk's Wood, which is a really creepy place. There's a strange feeling to it, really strange feeling. In fact, if you look on the Hauntings, when we first started the Hauntings back in kind of April, May time this year, we did our promo. Myself and Pete was walking through that garden. We thought that would be really cool to be in there. Where you were. So as we're walking down, kind of talking to the camera, that's where we are in the middle of this pet cemetery.
that's where that saying from. Truth is always stranger than fiction. But he was a Don Juan in his own right. He was bisexual. He said male lovers were more intelligent.
Yeah.
But the women kiss better. Which, you know, I wouldn't know about that. I disagree with the intelligent thing, but hey-ho. He's meant to have committed incest with his half-sister, Augusta Lee, and a child is meant to have come from that. And it was actually due to that all the press about it and his divorce that made him leave England in 1816, and he went to Greece and became a sort of, I don't know, a general fighting for the Greek independence. And that's where he died. He developed a fever and died. But before that, one of the things I was going to sort of say is that according to some of the reports I read about him, he was very into the paranormal. And I don't know whether you'd call it black magic, but the darker arts. And he used to collect skulls and then almost play with them. Yeah.
There is one skull that he made into a cup. It's still at Newstead Abbey.
Really?
And he made it. Yeah, and it's still sat kind of pride of place in this like little dining room where he obviously used to wine and dine people, and it's still there. Yeah, which is strange, but it is an actual skull, human skull, and he kind of took the top of it and made it into a cup.
Well, apparently he did that with quite a few. He used to collect them, and he also was a very, very strong believer in the paranormal. And he believed, even back in the early 1800s, the sort of Gothic side of it, that Newstead was haunted by some of the monks who had been slain there during Henry VIII's time. Yeah. So it does make me wonder if that's why the place is so active, because he'd brought stuff in with him. Yeah. His best friend.
Go on.
Sorry, what were you going to say there?
I was going to say that the areas that is known for him kind of doing this, because he did used to dabble in the paranormal. And he did used to do like little, and have family and friends around and do seances and things. In them areas, always seem quite active compared to most of the Abbey. And it makes you think, well, is it because of that? Did he know that it was active in those areas, or is it active because of what he did there?
Chicken and egg.
Did it start that with that, or was it active before then? And he knew that hence why he did seances and things in them areas, which is strange. I suppose we'll never know, but yeah.
Well, his best friend was the poet Percy Shelley. He drowned, and his boat was actually called the Don Juan. Supposedly it had been named in sort of homage to his best friend, but apparently he wanted to change it just before he set sail. Yeah, and they think that's he was jinxed or something, and because apparently supposedly Byron was so angry that his best friend, his BFF, was changing the name of his boat. He painted it on the sails that it was called the Don Juan. And there's also a lot of sort of mystery around how Shelley died, because he drowned, but there's people who think it was because he wasn't a very good sailor, or that they hit a storm that nobody knew was happening, or that he actually did it on purpose. He was depressed and wanted out. The amount of drugs those guys did and everything else, it wouldn't surprise me. But
no, that's right.
When his body his remains were brought back to England, Byron actually said he wanted his skull. And Mary said no, because she said, I know what you're going to do with it. You're going to turn it into one of those cups.
Yeah. Strange.
Weird and
strange
weirder.
Hobbies.
Very, very weird. And what's even more weird is a parallel between him and his daughter Ada, because Byron died at the age of 36 from a fever when he was out in Greece fighting the War of Independence. His daughter died at exactly the same age, 36.
Yeah, which again is very...
well, if they're listening, hi Ryan, hi Pete, behave.
Well, they should be listening. I'll be disappointed if they're not listening.
Yeah, I will be too.
What they do.
Makeup in your hair and everything else. You want to get use out of it.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
So as I mentioned it when we did the show about Clifton Hall, it's kind of the next room, always the next place. You're always forever chasing. And that's what it's like in the gardens. Yeah, you're always following this chanting, never really get to the bottom of it. And it never seems to, you never move away from it once you start hearing it. You can't just go to one area and go, oh, right, so we're moving away, because it's always there.
Yeah.
And so you start moving to where you think it's coming from, but yet you never get anywhere near it. It is really, really odd. And obviously the grounds has had a hell of a lot of history, probably more than the Abbey itself. And it is really, really strange. Even up until, I don't want to go too much into it because it is very, very recent in terms of history-wise. When I was in the police in my former life, back in 2003 or 2004, I was a young Bobby on the beat, and Newstead Abbey was very close to where I used to police. And there was actually a murder, and the body was dumped in Newstead Abbey. And people have even on our events, have picked up on this. And it turned out the young girl was a Polish girl who'd come over and was beaten and starved for about 8 years in this cellar of a house that was nearby, and until she died, and they rolled her in a carpet and dumped her in the grounds of Newstead Abbey. A very, very sad ending. But I can remember going there as a young police officer and being on scene. So again, it's weird. It came full circle that I worked there, but it's again we've been outside on events with equipment, with the Alice box, with the radio, the PSB 7s, and it's picked up on these people's names. Yeah. And I brush over it very, very quickly, because I always think, because it's so recent, you just don't know whether there's family or friends or of these people on the event. You just don't know, and I don't want to be disrespectful with it being fairly recent. Yeah. So we kind of brush over it. So the actual history, the point I'm getting to is it goes from way back when, right up until we're picking up on things that are very, very recent. Because one question a lot of people say is, why do you always pick up on ghosts from the 1500s, 1600s, or why don't you get anything like dead recent? Well, you do. You do. It's just sometimes you brush over it because it is so recent, and you want to be
some people.
You want to be respectful for the recent dead and let them grieve. I don't want to kind of go into it too much. That's just one incident of hundreds that have been seen on the grounds. And I think when I first started there back in 2009, one of the stats that I was told there is that they've seen over 130 different ghosts have been reported, like over 1,000 times. So 100, not just a ghost just been seen 130 times, but 130 different types of ghosts. So white lady, monk, dog, chant. All these. The stat that I was told is over 130 different types of activity have been recorded over many, many, many years. Just in the grounds. That's just in the grounds. That's not the Abbey. That's just the grounds. And there's the white lady of the lake that's seen like floating across the middle of the lake. There's the black monk of the gardens. There's a Japanese garden there where you see like a group of people stood in a circle, and you get close to them, there's nobody there. It's just a really weird, spooky place.
I just wonder why it's so central, why it's so active. What's going on, or what's gone on there to almost act like a magnet for. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't too much, I mean, it's kind of gone by this stage. My normal explanation would be, over the years, that's kind of been the central hub of any community. So you've got like the Priory and the Abbey and Lord Byron being there. So if, for instance, if there was a place that I couldn't get into now, and it was like a really big manor or somebody famous lived there or whatever, now, why I'm living, when I pass away and I become a ghost, or, if I can visitate and go around,
that's one of the places that I'm going to visit, because I want to go in there. I want to go and have a look. If I've got access to go and have a look, then I'll go and have a look. So it is going to be kind of a hub of people and activity of people going and there, and also people that are happy there. So they used to walk around the gardens and use the church, and so it's a happy place for people. So people are going to revisit that. So again, it's going to be an attraction. But to have that many is hang on a minute. You know, there's only so many spirits and ghosts you can attract for it being a happy place until it starts going. Hang on, it's getting a bit silly now. It's getting a bit out of hand. I mean, don't get me wrong. Most of it will be kind of urban legend.
Yeah.
Some of it will be mass hysteria, where somebody says they seen something, or someone else will go, "Oh yeah, I saw that." Whether they did or not is a completely different thing. So you've got to have your science head on, and probably that 130 different spirits is exaggerated somewhat. But there's got to be something there for them to have started these stories, for it to get to this point, for us to do events and pick up on so much there. You know, it's so popular. For instance, on Saturday night, we've got an event there. I could have sold out 4 or 5 times over.
Yeah, you did
because
sell
of
it
the
quite fast.
sheer, because of the sheer amount of people that want to go on there. I can put. In fact, I've got a date that I'm going to be putting on later on in the week for next year's event, and it's actually on the anniversary of Lord Byron's death. And I know that will sell out within a day or two. That will be gone because people will just want to just book it straight away. I know it'll be gone.
But it is then.
Yeah. So it is so popular, so popular.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's another one on my list.
We've always done that, and obviously it's around April time. So we've always done that around that time. And it's always been a very, very popular event, and always been a very successful, active event as well. Probably more so than Halloween time at that particular place.
Well, the thing is with Byron does have he still has fans. He has people who are fanatical about his work. And that kind of anniversary, and also with the fact it's to do with death and everything else. Wonderful. Well, we're running out of time, mate, because you've got to go and powder your nose and get ready. So where is it people can catch you in about 4 minutes time?
Yeah, so jump on the Hauntings TV on Facebook, or just type in the Hauntings on Facebook. We'll be going live, like I say, from 9 o'clock. So very, very shortly we're going
about
live.
4 minutes. Yeah.
And we're going to be, and then we're going to be live right through till about 12:30. So
well, I can't promise I'm going to be able to stay with you
until
12:30, Lee. Because
do your best.
I will pop by and say hello. Just to check you're okay, and check the boys haven't wrecked the place ready for me when I come and see you all on Friday.
Yeah, the listeners, jump on as soon as you've done. Jump on and say hello, and just put you've been listening to the show, and then we know who you are.
Exactly. Well, I shall let Lee go now. So thanks ever so much, Lee. I will speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So, so as Lee was saying, go over to the Hauntings page now. In about 3 minutes, you will see his Nottinghamshire mush on the screen, and you can send them comments, and they will be doing a live investigation of the village, although I'm hoping they still leave some stuff there for me to find on Friday, because I still haven't been scared on one of these investigations, and, I've had promises that the village will do it for me. So, to all of you who have been listening to tonight's Haunted Histories, thank you ever so much. I will see you again next week at the normal time of 9 p.m. Go over to the Hauntings in about 2 minutes to catch Lee, Pete and Ryan doing their thing around the village in Mansfield. But until then, and a very happy Halloween to you all, have a good evening, sleep tight, and don't worry too much about things that go bump in the night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.